Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Friday edition of Burn It Down with Kim Brown. This is the place where we set a pressure to blaze. That's right, and throw middle finger to the law and all that. I'll come on the air chuckling chuckling to myself at my own joke because yes, I'm a Leo, but I'm laughing because I'm looking at my face and I'm like, yo, if I'm gonna give y'all so much face, maybe I should like make up the face. You feel me? Like this is I understand. Like and this ain't I don't I know that y'all like me and I appreciate that. Y'all don't give me unnecessary platitudes. I'm not fishing, but I'm just saying like this is a lot of this is 12 o'clock. We got 3, 6. Like it's a face. It is a face. So thank y'all so much for and entertaining me and yourselves, I hope. I have an interesting show tonight because there's a lot going on and the human brain can only process but so much. And there were some stories that had grabbed my attention, including some housing stories. But the one that kind of bummed me out was about the monarch butterfly count, which is way down. And I said, hey, how about we don't do death tonight? How about I don't do death? How about that? I know there's a lot going on, even stories short of death per se, but I didn't want to do death stories. Some of my stories have some seriousness to them. We have a disability story and a housing crisis story coming out of the Bay Area pertaining to a disabled Black man who is on the verge of eviction. The gentleman is legally blind and was under the impression he was paying his rent and current on his rent, but something got messed up with his finances and he was served eviction notice, not via telephone, not via someone coming and knocking on his door and informing him. No, they sent him shit in the mail, of which he was unable to access, obviously. And now he could be unhoused. And this is a very perilous situation. So I wanted to talk about that. And then there was a story percolating online this week. One of the scenes of the town halls in which Congress people going back to their home districts are being confronted by their constituents. You may have seen this video, this one particularly coming out of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, where this white woman was manhandled, not by police or sheriff's deputies, by some fucking rando ass security niggas at the behest of the sheriff who wasn't even on duty. And the internet kind of losing its shit. Like, see, we told y'all fascism. Wake up. This is the fascism. And I'm like, where was this energy for Ferguson protesters in 2009? Was it? Long time ago. We've been looking at this sort of type of fascist overreach where either agents of the state or people who are hired by the fucking state, right, are moving with anonymity, without transparency or disclosure. But when it was happening to so-called Black Lives Matter protesters, a lot of these same folks were silent. Now they see it happening to the Cub Scout den mother, and it's a problem. So I'm gonna talk about that. And then I'm kind of debating on whether or not to even get into Zelensky versus Trump and JD Vance. Undoubtedly, you've seen these clips today out of the Oval Office where the reality stars had words for each other. and I'm like, do I want to feed into this? But then I remembered, wait a second, Kim. I understand that this is reality TV show spectacle tragically playing out with people with actual state powers, which is tremendously sad and tragic within itself. However, this is white on white violence and I love it. And I love it. I love it when it's euro on euros. There's no black people in sight. Trump made sure of that. So hey, we may tune in to white man versus white man and white man. So there. But I want us to begin up in, well, hold on, let me say hello Hello. How's everybody doing out there? You feeling all right? Doing good? Looking good? Feeling good, Billy Ray? Looking good, Lewis? Love to see it. Love to hear it. Appreciate you guys. I think we see. Oh. Let me shout out to Sweary Fairy. Thank you much, Sweary Fairy, for all that you do. Big up to our wonderful mods. Hello to Courtney. What's up to Abby, Anna, Mama Lorraine, Frayed Knot, Tyler, Latif. Thank you so much. Who else we got in here? Did I say Holly Horn already? We got coconut and the corn. We got who? Martini? Charlie Martini. Thank you so much, Charlie Martini, for coming through. We appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, what's up, Warren Ara? Thank you. Thank you so much, Warren. Who else? We got Wendy Gofton in the building. Thank you so much, Wendy. Thank you for coming through. Appreciate you. Hey, infinite content. Word on the street is word on the street is you got a gig, brother. Calvin? Calvin, he used to stand on the corner. Calvin got a job. That's right. Thank you so much, infinite content. We appreciate you. Congratulations. Zakina, thank you so much, Zakina, so much for coming through. Appreciate you. Come on through. Everyone, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Hey, Chichi Macho, what's going on? Thank you so much, Chichi Macho. We love you coming out in the NOLA. But let's go up to the Berkshires. I don't know. Where the fuck is New Hampshire? New England, sure. Okay, let's go up New England. Woo! You want to talk about Whiteyville? I never even been to New Hampshire. I already know it's Whiteyville. They probably still got sundown towns in New Hampshire. Fuck all that. The North didn't have sundown towns and shit. Shit. Anyway, to New Hampshire we go. I would say this is a bit of a lighthearted story simply because everyone lives, nobody dies. However, someone absolutely should have got their ass kicked, and I will let you all decide who in the story, who in this story needs their ass kicked, okay? And all of this pearl clutching about undocumented people and the issue of public safety and all this, that, and the third, I assure you, when certain people are menaces or pose threats to greater society, certain people are allowed a tremendous amount of latitude to do that. Either latitude before they eventually get caught after having committed said shady act or nefarious, or in this case, very nasty act numerous times in the past, or when the law finally does catch up with them, it's a slap on the wrist and nothing happens, and the public is still very much at risk and in danger. So content warning, again, nobody dies. No, everyone lives, but somebody needs feet and hands upon their person, and y'all can tell me who, after watching this, who that person should be. We'll go ahead and run that.
This is a real shocker.
Yeah, she needs some kind of help, something.
I mean, nothing surprises me anymore.
Shoppers in Keene are equally confused and disgusted after learning about the arrest of Kelly Tedford. The 23-year-old is now charged with felony criminal mischief, accused of using her own urine to contaminate products at the Monadnock Co-op grocery store and posting a video of the act online.
So there's tons of people that shop there.
No, that's not right.
Keene police say they got a tip about that video on Valentine's Day and contacted the co-op. The store writing on its website, in part, "We immediately reviewed store video, identified affected products, removed them from our shelves, and sanitized all surfaces. We also reached out to members who purchased at-risk products. The co-op is issuing a recall for several types of quinoa, plus cornmeal, polenta, coconut shreds, and raw walnuts due to contamination. Investigators say it will cost the store more than $1,500.
I can't imagine if there was somebody in there that actually saw her do that, what they would do.
According to police, this wasn't an isolated incident. Investigators say they've uncovered multiple videos showing Tedford contaminating other stores with her urine dating back as far as 2021.
I'm completely shocked and dismayed about what this woman decided to do and for how long she's gotten away with this.
Police haven't said exactly where those other locations are, but noted more charges may be coming.
And we also have a lot of people that are trying to capitalize on the strangest things.
Tedford was released on personal recognizance and is due in court in April.
Dog, wait a second. Hold on. You're telling me Miss Tedford, who is 23 years old, 23 tender years old, has allegedly been disseminating her urine around grocery stores in the Keene, New Hampshire area since 2021. So almost 4 years now. So when she was 19, when she was still a very big adult, it's been known that she that she is likely to be doing these things. And again, I don't know whether or not she's doing it for social media clout. I don't know if she's doing it for likes and follows. I don't see where anybody could find any sort of entertainment from that sort of content, but I don't give a fuck why she's doing it. She needs to be stopped. That, how is that not a overt threat to public safety? She is contaminating and tampering with the food supply in that area. And it seems as though she's being allowed to do it. She's only being charged with criminal mischief. Like that, that's not a big thing. Like if she was caught, I suppose, tampering with a larger food production source, maybe the charges would be increased. But I don't see how law enforcement is taking this seriously, and you can probably see why. Because she's a young and tender white gal. they don't want to ruin her life. This is how the law enforcement, this is how the criminal justice system usually interacts with white people, as opposed to the heavy-handed teens and adolescents must be punished. They must be held accountable the way that the system attacks Black youth in particular. But white youth are given the opportunity to offend and reoffend and then offend some more until it finally catches up and the whole community is scratching their head and shrugging their shoulders. Well, how has she been able to do this for 4 years? Because she's white. Don't you know? This is America. White people can do anything. If you don't believe me, let January 6th serve as the most recent example of the type of egregiousness that white folks are allowed to get away with in a so-called country of laws and a so-called system of law and order. The laws are for the Blacks and for the non-whites and for the gays and for the gender non-conforming. The laws are not for white people. And they are for white women in some instances, but not this one. not oh girl. And the man, I appreciate the white guys, the elder gentleman saying, you know, I can only imagine what would have happened to her if someone would have caught her in the act. Guys, who needs they ass whipped? I'm not advocating for violence. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. What would happen if you perusing the grocery aisles of the co-op or fucking Trader Joe's? And I'm not even certain I want to know the delivery method, but maybe I do want to know the delivery method so we know what to look out for in the grocery stores. Let there be other fucking weirdos like this person. And again, whether or not she is experiencing or suffering from sort of mental health crisis, I'm not exactly sure. Like, I know there are some issues, phobias, what's the shit I'm trying to say? What's the word, y'all? You know, I don't know psychological terms, compulsions, right? There's some compulsions around dealing with your own fecal matter, but I don't know where we're spreading it around the grocery store. The produce aisle helps to contribute to that. So anyway, and guys, you know, in the ways that our criminal justice systems need some sort of reformations, because I'm not exactly certain why this act is not a more serious offense, a more serious felony, and not to even say that jail would be appropriate here. But for countries that do engage in flogging, I think this is what I would definitely call a floggable offense, because I don't think that this lady is mentally unwell. I think she actually has a kind of crazy that could be fixed. This is why sometimes hands and feet upon people's face happens to be an incredible remedy, or even the threat of, right? You'd be amazed that how all of a sudden people come to their senses when under the threat of violence, like, wait a second. I wasn't supposed to be doing that. That was wrong. I know that was wrong. But by the time the flogging begins, I guarantee after she received a flogging, public or otherwise, that would be the last time that she decided to pull such a stunt, fucking with people's food. And I even think, and some people would say, well, the state shouldn't be dispensing any kind of violence. Yeah, I guess. I guess. I think some people would take a flogging over incarceration. You just take your 10 licks and be done. Now, maybe America ain't the country to be dispensing floggings, but if it's monoracial, then maybe, where do they flog? They flog over there in East Asia. I don't know if they still flog in China, but where was the thing where the American did something, either sprayed some graffiti or defaced some public property, and he got like 30 lashings? Where was that at? Singapore, Thailand? Don't be out of country fucking around. People don't play that shit. But again, on some hand, we need to incorporate, I think, some of these changes into our criminal justice system, because this cannot be allowed to stand. And I honestly hope that the residents in and around Keene, should they happen to spot her, that they stop her by any means necessary. Not by, maybe I shouldn't say that, because New Hampshire, I think that's a guns at the grocery store kind of state. But don't be afraid, because you got to protect the public. You got to protect yourself. You got to protect the well-being and the consideration of the community at large. And someone intentionally tampering with food in that way is a threat. We don't know if she's carrying any sort of communicable diseases. Yes, indeed, you can spread disease through, the PP. It's not cute. You can spread all kinds of shit. Whip her. Anyway, that's my first story. And that's, I think, the light. No, we do have a second not so terrible story coming up. Hold on. Let me come on in here. Oh, real quick. I wanted to thank you guys for checking out Classical Breakdown with Ear Doctor and myself. We did the incredible Ohio Players. I hope we did the Ohio Players justice. For everyone that sent support, you guys know the Ear Doctor and I appreciate it. And for those that happen to catch Ear Doctor and I chatting past the supposed ending of Thursday's Remix Morning Show, I want you guys to know that Kamal Franklin is a homie amongst homies. And so is Ricky Ryan. We big up Ricky Ryan. Ricky Ryan was sending the text like, niggas, get off the screen. But as you saw, me and Ear Doctor was too busy fussing at one another. But you have to start. I like fussing with Ear Doctor because, number one, it's not fussing because, Naka has an impenetrable feelings. You know what I'm saying? You can't hurt his feelings, right? And I appreciate that, because I sometimes I come out the mouth wild. So I'd be grateful that Ear Doctor is not offended or, feelings hurt by, the way I speak to him sometimes. But it's not, I don't speak to him because, it's just respectful. I'm just, not as conscious of my tone as I should be sometimes. I'm speaking with my thoughts, and I need to be I need to be processing that or metering that out a little bit better in my tone. Sometimes I be forgetting. But anyway, so shout out to Kamal though, because I will say this: Ear Doctor and I, sometimes our conversations go out in the nether regions, as you guys can probably imagine. So y'all probably would have been highly entertained at such a conversation. But to save myself some embarrassment, again, I don't know if Ear Doctor would have been embarrassed, but let me save myself a little bit here. I appreciate Kamal coming back on the screen and telling us to log off. We were like, I was like, thanks, Kamal. So yeah, so appreciate y'all that popped up, showed in, showed out. And if you haven't checked out Classical Breakdown, the Ohio players, please go over to Black Liberation Media and give it a whirl, baby. Roller coaster of love. Ooh. So I'm a little stoned. Maybe y'all could tell. So before I came on to the show, the sun went down here in the DC area at 6 p.m. and at 6:45 for my Astro girlies. What happened at 6:45, gang? Well, at least on the East Coast. I'm not sure when and what happened in your time zone. But over here, we had the planetary alignment of 7 planets. Could see them joints too, was clear. Usually on some of these celestial event nights in the DC area, sometimes we're socked in with clouds and you can't see the sky. Not tonight. You can see the sky. You can see Jupiter. You can see Mars and Venus and Mercury. And apparently this has some very high significance. So if you have the opportunity, go look outside and meditate on some shit that you want. Do not meditate on the shit that you don't want. Don't go out there and be like, I don't want no bullshit. Of course, you don't want bullshit. But instead of putting out what you don't want, put out what you do want. There you go. Put that out there and line that up. I don't know how often these planetary alignments occur. My guess would be not all that often. So just like the ancestors did thousands of years ago when these celestial events would bring them out, everybody come out. They probably have bonfires, all kinds of shit going on. Barbecues. And they was doing ayahuasca and everything. You know what I'm saying? So let us not ignore these things, even as they come up, especially now in modern times. Who knows? We may need to glean more discernment and clarity from the skies, from the stars, than we can deduce or come up with even here on planet Earth. So, guys, we know that when Yahtzees and Mr. Schmitzler, when they started their reign of terror in 1930s, 1940s, Germany, before they intentionally went after the Jewish folks, they began with groups of other so-called undesirables, including the Roma people, including known LGBTQ folks, and the disabled folks. Okay. And given the conversations coming from the Trump administration and those that support the ideals of Project 2025 and the like, it's pretty clear that disabled folks are absolutely going to be on the menu with all the threats to Medicare, Medicaid, SSDI, etc. Even though Trump says that he has no intentions of cutting those things, Trump's a fucking liar. All right. And he has appointed billionaires that are operating at the behest of the billionaire class. And there's nothing more that they would like than to privatize all of that. But in the interim, they don't really give a fuck if people fall out of the system, if people's simple daily human material needs are met or not. They don't care if people are housed. They don't care if people eat. They don't care about a lot of things. And some of this is proof positive, even in so-called liberal places. I want to take you guys to the Bay. We're going out to Oakland City, California. This story popped up, and of course, it got my attention because I can relate on many ways with the gentleman who is the feature of this story, and I want this story to sort of serve as a reminder for people who may not have any direct relationship with disability at this point in your life. You yourself may not be disabled. Your parents may be healthy or dead. You know, or you know, you may not have disabled children, or you have no children at all. You may not have any direct proximate relationship with folks that are experiencing disability. And it's very easy to think that we live in a so-called advanced country for healthcare, that of course we have the Americans with Disability Act, that people's basic needs would be provided for and taken care of. And you don't really understand how difficult it is, number one, for disabled people to attain even the most basic things. You don't understand how challenging that is until you begin to either experience disability directly or someone close to you, and you're watching them go through that process of having to deal with the state, et cetera, deal with the healthcare system, all kinds of things, having to obtain diagnoses, all kinds of shit, right? Prescriptions for mobility, all mobility devices, all kinds of devices. But anyway, so this story helps. I want this story, when you see it, to sort of maybe ring those bells, in addition to commiserating with what this gentleman is experiencing directly, and the fact that he and his help, the people that were assisting him, in this case his attorney, they were able to come up with the rent. And you'll understand why this plays a huge factor in a second, but they were able to come up with the rent, and the fucking property management won't accept it, which is bonkers. Fucking bonkers. But anyway, let's take a look at this story coming out of Oakland.
The clock is ticking for a legally blind man who could soon be on the street in Oakland. He was evicted from his affordable apartment for seniors after a family member allegedly took advantage of him. And even though a judge tossed out that eviction, his landlord argues they shouldn't have to let him back in. Here's investigative reporter Hilda Gutierrez. Hilda.
Gary Gilbert tells us he has nowhere else to go, and homelessness could be a death sentence. Now he's imploring the judge to force his landlord to let him go back home. For the past few weeks, this East Oakland motel has been Gary Gilbert's home. But Gilbert says his real home is here, an affordable housing complex for seniors called the Oakland Station. That is, until he was evicted.
I was shocked as hell. I was shocked and scared and everything all at the same time.
Shock, he says, because Gilbert believed his rent was being paid on time. He's legally blind with a host of other ailments and had been relying on a family member to make the rent payments. But the Oakland Station says they haven't been paid for more than a year.
I can't read documentation too good, and so I would have somebody else probably taking care of my affairs. I didn't know anything was going on.
The Oakland Station started eviction proceedings, but Gilbert says he was left in the dark. He says he had a standing request that his landlords communicate any important information verbally. But the eviction notices were in writing. Then a notice showed up with a large symbol on it that even he could recognize, a sheriff's star.
You know, I mean, I haven't broken the law or did anything, so I wonder what this is about. And took it and threw it on my table until I had somebody read it.
It was a notice to vacate within 7 days. His landlords had been awarded a default judgment since Gilbert, who says he didn't know he was being evicted, never responded in court. So he scrambled to find help.
Because Mr. Gilbert's disabilities are so severe and because the situation is so particular, I decided to jump on the case.
Maria Guerra is an attorney with the nonprofit East Bay Community Law Center. She took Gilbert's case on the day sheriff's deputies kicked him out of his apartment.
There was absolutely no verbal notice given to Mr. Gilbert that he was behind on rent. They never came to his door. They never spoke to him on the phone.
Guerra challenged the eviction ruling in court. And earlier this month, a judge tossed out the default eviction judgment and returned the apartment to Gilbert. Guerra says the Oakland Station is refusing to let Gilbert back in, even though they've offered to pay all of his back rent.
Because according to them, what's done cannot be undone. I think the developer needs to accept the rent that we are offering them and let Mr. Gilbert go home.
But the landlord is appealing, and since the sheriff had already enforced the eviction, they argued to the judge he no longer had authority to give the apartment back. The judge agreed. Gilbert's belongings are still in his apartment. Last week, they let him and Guerra inside, but only so they could pick up a few essentials. Guerra is now asking the judge to reconsider and force the Oakland Station to let Gilbert back into his apartment and give him a key. The judge is expected to make a decision at a hearing scheduled for Monday. We reached out to the Oakland station to get their perspective on the eviction, but they declined to comment.
Yeah, this is especially egregious because the purpose of this developer is to develop affordable housing for seniors. So they're completely not doing their job.
For now, Guerra says Adult Protective Services is paying for Gilbert's motel room, but those funds will soon run out.
If I'm out on the street, I'm not going to survive. So I don't, I'm just scared. My mind is racing. I just don't know what I'm going to do.
Guerra says Adult Protective Services opened an investigation into the family member who was supposed to be paying Gilbert's rent, but the agency wouldn't comment, citing privacy reasons. We were unable to reach that family member for comment. We'll update you next week on how the judge orders. I'm Hilda Gutierrez, NBC Bay Area. We investigate.
I mean, there's so much there to get into, but I wanted to let you guys know that Oakland Station there in East Oakland has a 1-star rating from the tenants and from the friends and associates and loved ones of people that live in this place. It's supposed to be a senior living facility, an affordable housing situation, and let the commenters on the internet tell it that the conditions there are deplorable. They're reprehensible. But as you see, the gentleman featured in the story, his apartment looked pretty good. And in spite of his disability, he appeared to be living just fine, independently and on his own. And I can't even begin to tell you guys how much of a mental and emotional disruption it must be for him to be out of familiar surroundings and having to live in a place temporarily with the uncertainty of whether or not you'll be allowed to return back to the place where he has been living, been accustomed, and knows where all of his things are. Okay. And it just goes to show you that there's nothing to brag about America's system and America's way of doing things, not the healthcare system, not even the so-called state safety net system. I don't understand how there's nobody from the city of Oakland, from the county, from the state of California that is coming to check on this gentleman at least monthly to see whether or not he needs any assistance on doing simple things like paying his bills, right? And I feel bad for him that it appears, though we don't know 100% for certain, but at least the slant and the leaning of the news piece would lead us to believe that he was perhaps taken advantage of by a family member, which, guys, for disabled people is totally on the table, right? Don't assume that your people's family members, their siblings, parents, significant others, children, don't assume that when people are eldered or infirmed or disabled, that their immediate family members automatically have their best interests at heart. They don't, y'all. You know why? Because people are fucked up. Okay. People are fucked up. And regardless of what that family member may have had going on, now this gentleman is now facing the consequences in an uncertain future. And it sort of begins with inaccessibility, because in spite of his simple accommodation request to the property management that any communications coming from the leasing office pertaining to him and his unit need to be made in person and or verbally. Why was that not adhered to? Isn't that a simple fucking request? And I don't quite understand that if his rent went unpaid for as long as a year, y'all didn't come knock on a man's door in a fucking year? In a year? I assure you, and I'm not saying this to be funny at all. I'm saying this because I know. I assure you, my man's was home. Okay, I can guarantee you, my guy didn't go to many places. He was around. You could have caught him. Could have caught up with him very easily. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that it doesn't seem as though any good faith attempts to make face-to-face contact with him were made, it's obvious, and not that this should shock anyone, that this corporate private property management that I'm sure got tens of millions of dollars to provide affordable housing could really give a fuck if this blind man is tossed out on the street. And unfortunately, not having any available familial caregivers is a real thing for disabled folks. You know what I'm saying? If something happened to their housing situation, they may or may not have anywhere to go. And he's not wrong when he says if he's out on the street, it's a death sentence for him. What's going to happen to him? Again, this gentleman seemed to be living alone and independent. I didn't see a service animal. I didn't hear any reference to one. And that would have been another expense, but at least he would have been able to be mobile or on the street had he had a service animal. What's he going to do? Why is and I can't overstate how much the attorney there, Maria, how she and her organization need to be commended for intervening in this. However, the callousness of the state, I appreciate the judge, in fact, overturning the eviction, but for the property management company to challenge the eviction and deny, not accept the rent, the back rent that was owed, just is further proof that all of this baseline of capitalism, sometimes it's not even about the money. Sometimes it's simply about the opportunity to maintain and be cruel and to harm people and to show the abject disregard that corporations have for humanity. Y'all remember when Mitt Romney argued corporations are people? If they are people, they are fucking psychopaths. You guys, have y'all seen that? What was the name of that documentary? Was it called Corporations? Where they psychoanalyzed all of the pieces of how a corporate entity functions, and they deduced that if corporations were in fact a human, they would be psychopathic. This can't be allowed to run. And I don't know in which ways the community can forcefully ensure that this man either is restored the housing that he was in or is granted new safe housing. But this is what we can expect more of, and not to say that we haven't been expecting it, observing it, enduring it in the US the whole time. But I feel like the gas pedal is about to be smashed. The acceleration on literally throwing away disabled folks first, right? Gay folks first, trans folks first, black folks first, undocumented people first. Like, we're seeing the first waves of the purge, of the state sanctioned purge of the Trump administration come through. And was it happening under previous presidents, Democratic and Republican? In different ways it was, but this is about to be an acceleration that maybe we're not prepared for, and the community is going to have to step up and respond as swiftly as the cruelty is coming down. So I will be paying attention to see what happens with this. I'm hoping that people are putting the press on Oakland Court, the residential community, that they need to, at minimum, accept the rent and let this man back in to his apartment so he can live housed, safe, or I guess as safe as can be expected in this particular community, because they say it's not really all that safe. It's got loads of problems. However, this is a place that he has been able to make his home where he can live on his own and independent. And there needs to be either some training or some compliance reinforcement with the property management. Like, there needs to be some sort of penalty for them for not providing proper accommodations for him as a disabled resident. They know he's disabled. They know they got to know all the folks that are disabled in that community. They must know what particular physical challenges that their residents are facing, because you have to be able to provide at least deal with them in certain ways. But it doesn't appear as though that is happening, which should be a violation of something. There should be some sort of punitive action against this particular housing development. But again, the state themselves doesn't give a fuck about disabled people, per the story, right? Per Oakland, the county, and the state of California not interceding on this man's behalf before he was summarily evicted by a court. It was the nonprofit organization is the only reason that he even probably has somewhere to stay right now. So God bless them folks, all them people. And please speak up on behalf of disabled folks when you see some shit that they may not be able to fight by themselves or on their own. Don't be afraid to step up in the ways and utilize your able-bodied privilege, your male privilege, your white privilege, your money privilege. Put your privilege out there for more marginalized and vulnerable folks that definitely could use it, especially in survival situations like that. I'm gonna take another break here, y'all. Let me go look at my doc. What time is it? 7:55. Not doing too bad. I'm not gonna hold y'all all night because I want y'all to go outside and look at the stars. I don't know where you are, but you should go look at them shits anyway, even if they not perfectly aligned at the moment that you decide to be like Earth, Wind, and Fire and keep your head to the sky. You should go out there and look at the twinkle twinkles anyway. I saw or did I see it or did I hear it? Might have been listening to WPFW in DC, by the way. If you like black music in particular, WPFW.org on Saturdays is the move. But I think they were playing a Bootsy Collins and his rubber band, they're playing a live song. And the dude said, Bootsy, you a star. And Bootsy said, twinkle, twinkle, baby. Oh, twinkle, twinkle, baby. So yes, go out there and see the twinkle, twinkle babies. That's what I want you to do. Go out there and see the stars. Because we stars. Everything that stars are made up of, so are humans. So, Will, do we have any acknowledgments? Do we need to thank anybody? I didn't see no boxes rolling up, and I ain't tripping. You know what I'm saying?
Nope, not yet.
Oh, we got a bunch of trolls? Y'all didn't say that. What are they? Oh, wow. We got oh, we got trolls. Oh, we got Trump trolls. Stick around. We're going to check out your man's here in a bit because it was white on white violence in the White House. Did y'all see that shit, trolls? Did you see the whites going at each other? Oh my God. This was like wrestling. It was spectacular. Stick around, trolls. I got something for y'all. Will, I'm sorry. Do we have any acknowledgments beyond the trolls? Hello, my enemies. May you have a very, very, very bad day.
Like and subscribe, y'all. Not yet.
Boom, bap. Thank you, sir. All right, we're going to keep this train rolling. Trolls, if you're in here, you might as well hit that like button. Fire famers, visitors, welcome guests, not trolls. But I don't object to the trolls. I only feel bad for the mods. I feel bad for my moderators because y'all feel as though you have to work, and I appreciate y'all not allowing any blatant bullshit to fly. But again, you know what I'm saying? Let the young men cook, and we know it's men. And we know the men are dealing with a loneliness epidemic. They're dealing with a incel epidemic. They got a lot of shit to get off their chest via their fingers. You know what I'm saying? I say, let these young men cook before they go out there and shoot some shit up, because we know that's what they prone to do. That's what they prone to do. Anywho. So let us keep it rolling. And speaking of white on white violence. So the whole fuck around, find out epidemic continues to happen at town halls across the country as congresspeople returning back to their home districts for a little reprieve from Washington are apparently receiving an earful. And I figured that there was enough of those clips floating around that y'all didn't need me to bring that to you, but I wanted to bring this to you because this particular clip has stirred up a bit of a kerfuffle because of a number of things. Because of the way that these dissenters at this town hall in Idaho, in Coeur d'Alene, where the Republican congressperson was facing off, I suppose, versus a gymnasium or auditorium full of his constituents, and he was being booed by some. Which, by the way, was completely within their right to boo and heckle and dissent, because I thought this was America, people, right? Like all the 1A flag wavers seem to forget about freedom of speech when it's dissent against policies or an administration that they support. And then it's not free speech. But when, whoever the fuck, Joe Biden, which, by the way, I don't give a fuck if anybody heckles Joe Biden or the like, or whatever the conservative equivalent in their head of who so-called liberals or non-conservatives seem to hold in high regard. I don't care if y'all boo any of those fucking people. I was all for Kamala's rallies getting interrupted by pro-Palestinian protesters. Okay, I didn't have a fucking problem with it. So anyway, so here come these Republican congressional snowflakes crying when they're getting a little bit of pushback, a little bit of smoke at the town hall. And the clip shows these white women, at least one, being manhandled by security with no name, security with no badge, security who refuses to identify themselves. And it got the internet talking about, well, this is an example of how fascism has finally arrived. If you want to know what fascism looks like, it looks like fascism right here. But however, there was consequences for this unnamed private security as a result. So we're going to see the video first, and then we're going to hear the follow-up news package, because there was something done about it. Of course. Of course, there was something done about it. So anyway, let's take a listen.
And we're just taking care of the rabble-rousers. And eventually what's going to happen is everything's going to settle down, and we'll get back to hearing the legislators. Because really, you didn't come here to listen to me. I just happen to have a nice loud voice and a big microphone. And I can talk over all of you. And I can just talk for on and on and on. And look at this little girl is afraid to leave. She spoke up, and now she doesn't want to suffer the consequences. Isn't that the problem that we're struggling with so many of the kids today? Is they want to behave poorly and then not struggle with the consequences. That is shameful. I think what we've got right now is a situation where these folks are trying to filibuster and shut this whole program down. Unfortunately, they're being successful. So all of you who came here to hear the legislators, I applaud you for sitting there and quietly listening. I promise we will get back to you. In the meantime, we've just got to be a little aggressive with some of these folks here. Here. Oh, no, I shouldn't be removed. I should be allowed to cry and yell and scream. I should be able to allow to interrupt. Let's go.
Excuse me, Sheriff Norris. This gentleman is assaulting me. You out now. This man is assaulting me. Now, let's go. This man is assaulting me. Is this your deputy? Is this your deputy? No, don't fucking touch us. Is he a deputy? These are deputies. Who the fuck are these men?
So how about that? Come on, Musk. Hey. It's too bad that we have some 150-year-old Social Security recipients. We know that government has been mismanaging money for decades, and we need to get up down now.
What are these guys? Show your badge. Don't touch her. Who the fuck are you?
Cooperate, it'll be 100 times better.
Yeah, that's what they say to rape victims, you fucking piece of shit. You refuse to identify yourselves. Who are you? Who are you?
To come here today, and I applaud them for doing so. Thank you for coming. But the problem is this. They didn't come here to listen. They came here to interrupt.
You go play the package? You go play the second joint?
Dropped and a private security firm's license revoked after this past weekend's town hall in Kootenai County up north.
A former legislative candidate, Teresa Borenpol, was removed from her seat by who we now know are members of Lear Asset Management.
Get up or be arrested.
Yes.
This is not a negotiation.
But, you know, the problem is...
After shouting several things during the town hall, like women are dying during the public discussion, Kootenai County Sheriff Bob Norris, you heard there, walks up to her and says, you can get arrested or be quiet. She leaves, refuses. And then those three members of Lear Asset Management grab her and drag her out of a chair onto the ground, out of the auditorium, and try to tie her hands with zip ties. As this happened, the MC's saying sometimes you have to get aggressive and tells her comments are stupid and her voice doesn't matter. Sheriff Norris, you saw in the background, recording what was happening while encouraging her removal. But the men not answering her questions of who are you, are these deputies, and they aren't wearing anything identifying them as security. That's something law requires.
Now, the Coeur d'Alene Police Department sharing this statement that you see on your screen. During the initial investigation, officers learned Borenpol bit one of the men. With the officers' limited information at the time, Borenpol was cited for battery. But after reviewing all the video, the city prosecuting attorney's office has moved to dismiss the battery citation. They say in part that this is a, quote, complex incident and detectives are continuing to investigate. The Kootenai County Sheriff's Office reports that Sheriff Norris's conduct is also being investigated by an independent probe.
Teresa Borenpol responding on social media saying she believes her First Amendment rights were violated and she'll make her voice heard when the time is appropriate. There's a GoFundMe to support Dr. Borenpol, raising over $260,000 now, far more than its $30 grand goal. If you want to check this fundraiser out, we've got a link on our website.
Yeah, people are outraged at that scene, I guess to the tune of $260,000 on the GoFundMe. I'm not exactly sure what she's raising funds for. However, you know, in America, money is speech. So I suppose there's a lot of folks that didn't have an issue with her objecting to what was being said on stage. And when she says, well, when she was alleged to have said or screamed out that women are dying. Yeah, in Idaho, women are dying. Like the abortion restrictions in Idaho are onerous and unrealistic. And indeed, women are dying and suffering as a result of these abortion bans. But getting back to the speech issue and the overzealousness of the jackbooted thugs that accosted, manhandled, and removed her, assaulted her, right? So let's get to the sheriff real quick. Robert Norris, Kern County Sheriff, right? This guy was actually not on duty during this town hall. In fact, he was just there as a Joe Blow spectator. And it didn't seem as though there were any sheriff's deputies under his authority present there. And it didn't even seem as though like the Coeur d'Alene police were on the scene, but instead these paid private security guards, Lear Security, there with what? Arrest powers? Like what? I'm sorry. You putting zip ties on whom? Members of the public? Like who are you exactly? Under whose authority? Are you deputized? Do you have handcuffs? Like how are you? And again, that the whole thing that the lady, Miss Bordenstall, I'm sorry to mispronounce her name, that she bit one of those security guards. I don't believe that for a second. They were just looking for some reason to justify their treatment of her and the way that they handled her obviously, in my opinion, forcefully. But at the same time, I look at this incident and I'm like, well, first of all, had she been black, had she been non-white, I'm sure a lot more physical injuries would have befallen her, and likely a lot more serious charges also would have befallen her, right? The way that she was able to have charges immediately dropped against her, and again, and I don't fault her for raising money at all, but the amount of money that is available to a white person who has been aggrieved by the system. You know, if you could do comparison GoFundMe's, for example, of black victims of police violence, you're not going to find those GoFundMe fundraisers flush with usually six figures worth of cash, especially not in just a few days, right? If they do ever make it to the six-figure mark, it's after it's been up there for a while, and maybe somebody with a big platform was able to catch wind of it and disseminate it widely, and then it gained some momentum. But nope, those GoFundMe resources pale in comparison to each other, right? But I'm just what I'm reminded of in this whole incident was Ferguson. And after Mike Brown was murdered by Ferguson police, and the people of Ferguson and surrounding St. Louis and St. Louis County came out in the streets and protested and had the uprising there, there were police or people who were dressed as police, armed as police, out there with their badge numbers covered up, with their names covered up. There was legitimate concern that it was literally just white militia members, out there playing police with the opportunity to fire tear gas at black people and to crack some skulls in the black neighborhood, right? To put down an uprising, as it were. Same thing happened during the Baltimore uprising. You know what I mean? There was police out there with their badges covered. So if there had been any abuse, any illegal acts, any unconstitutional violations of people's civil rights, the victims would not have been able to tell or to point or to say who was it who caused harm, who was it who broke the law, which one of these jackbooted thug cops committed violations against their own oath to uphold the Constitution and to uphold people's civil rights. This is intentional, that people don't have any recourse. But the thing is, when it's black people with no recourse, when it's the masked and the protected, the anonymous people marauding as law enforcement, when that's happening against black people who are upset that their civil rights are continually violated by agents of the state, then the greater whole of white America shrugs their shoulders. They think that tear gas being shot at black folks, upset that another black person again has been murdered by the police. They think that, well, they shouldn't be out there in the streets. That's not the proper way to protest. Y'all should protest better. He should have complied, right? There's all kinds of justifications for the state unleashing its brutality amongst it on its citizenry, those that are upset that justice and rights are not being disseminated or applied equally and fairly, right? But when it happens to a white person, all of a sudden, the greater whole of white America can see the injustice. They can understand that, well, she's just expressing her point of view. She has a right to do that. That's her First Amendment freedom of speech. Ooh, the whites love throwing out freedom of speech. And they tell that shit to police too. The whites are quick to tell the police they got freedom of speech, right? Well, there go her freedom of speech. Why is she getting dragged out by the hired security and being hogtied with zip ties and all kinds of shit? Why are you okay with that? Why is that acceptable to you? Because she's expressing an opinion counter to your own. She has a right to do that, right? Black folks out in the streets protesting state-sanctioned murder against youth in our community, we will do that. Okay, we have done that. We will continue to do that. But if you're okay with the jackbooted thugs being deployed against us, when our cause is undoubtedly just and righteous, then you can't say shit when the jackbooted thugs get deployed against you. And in fact, you should expect it. You should be anticipating it, because that is what the elites are counting on. They are counting on the whole of mainstream America accepting state brutality and violence and privately employed agents of the state, that their brutality and violence be tolerated against Black folks, against gay folks, queer folks, Hispanic folks, undocumented folks. The elites count on the whole of white America to accept that, because when it comes for you, who the fuck is going to stand up for you? And you think that the mainstream of white America think that they got enough guns to go against the state? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. You ain't got bombs, shorty. And if you paid attention to what has been happening in America, you would know that the government absolutely dropped a bomb in Philadelphia in 1985. On who? On Black people. White people didn't say shit. And guess what? Ain't nobody gonna say shit when they come and drop a bomb on y'all, on Teresa house. And then let me be clear, I'm not advocating that at all. But you understand what I'm saying. And you know, Teresa is a real one out here. She giving the pigs the fucking business. I respect Teresa out here. However, don't assume that just because the state does it to Black folks, it won't do it to you. Your silence is your complicity when you see it happening to other groups, and you just shrug your shoulders or you wipe your brow and you're like, whew, well, thank God that ain't me. No, it's not you today. That don't mean it's not ever going to be you. And you should expect it to be you, because you allowed it to happen to other groups and you didn't say shit. So fuck you. So hold on. I got one more story. We rolling. It just be rolling. Thank y'all for coming through. My ratios, excuse me, are a bit askew on my computer daughter. Will, how many people do we have in here with us? I don't know. A few. We got a couple, 2, 3.
And also we want to give a shout out to Zinzi Bell, Stephanie for their super chats. We appreciate y'all.
Thank you. How many people you say was in here?
126.
Hey, I'll take it. Thank y'all so much for stopping by. Now we got to get to the Goof Troop part of the program. And let me apologize in advance, because I know that there are people who are literally nauseated at the sound and the sight of Donald Trump. And I get it, because he's a repulsive looking fellow. Did you hear that they say Trump stinks like shit, which is amazing. I can't see how that's even possible when there's so many sets of lips on his ass. How could his ass stink when it's constantly being kissed? How is this man allowed to have a stinking derriere when everyone is constantly applying, lips to his anus? I don't get it. I do not get it. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to do it this way. Trolls, this is your moment to shine. Because I love white on white violence. This shit is great. So Zelensky came to the Oval Office. He came to the White House wearing his finest sweatsuit, finest tracksuit, his best. Which I appreciate, because I mean, in the sense that, he is giving the Oval Office, I suppose, the all the deference that it deserves. And let us not forget, everybody, Zelensky himself, a actor, a comedian, a reality TV star. In fact, someone who played the president of Ukraine once on a Ukrainian television show. So I want us to be clear here that all of this theater that happened between Zelensky, Trump, and J.D. Vance was just that. This was reality show theater, right? And I don't want to give it too much seriousness, though at the same time, we are talking about actual heads of state, which is a sad indictment of 2025, that the fucking host of The Apprentice, the fucking grifter, the man who was the founder and chancellor of Trump University himself, that this guy, in fact, president of the United States, and I'm sure the people of Ukraine are also still befuddled that Volodymyr Zelensky is the president of Ukraine. But here we are in the upside down. So, Will, we're going to take it from the top. I don't know how much of this we're actually going to watch, but because I am such a fan of white on white violence, I might be tickled enough to watch longer. because I think in a fight, I'm guessing Zelensky could probably whoop Trump and JD Vance, but I'm pretty sure he wanted to put hands on JD Vance. And when Trump put his hands on Zelensky, I said, whew, Zelensky, the control, the discipline. I'm impressed. But anyway, let's go ahead and rotate, Will.
For 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the pathway of Joe Biden of thumping our chest and pretending that the president of the United States' words mattered more than the president of the United States' actions. What makes America a good country is America engaging in diplomacy. That's what President Trump is doing.
Can I ask you?
Pause that real quick, Will.
Sure.
Hold on
Yeah.
real quick.
Yeah.
Pause it real quick, because I know Zelensky about to go in real quick. Could we just confront briefly the absurdity of all of that fucking bullshit that JD Vance just laid out? America engages in diplomacy where? Okay, the United States as an entity is still in violation of countless treaties with sovereign indigenous nations on this continent. In this rotten fucking colony, the United States remains in violation of too many treaties with sovereign indigenous nations to count, let alone the number of agreements that the Trump himself pulled out of the nuclear proliferation deal with fucking Iran. Not these 4 or 5 years ago. So what the fuck is JD Vance talking about? I can't with these people in this alternative reality talking about diplomacy as Trump is actively discussing invading Canada, Panama, and Greenland and talking shit about Trump Gaza. Where's the diplomacy? Miss me with fucking diplomacy. Anyway, I just wanted to point out the obvious and the erroneous and the bullshit of JD Vance. But here comes Zelensky with a little bit of bass in his voice. Go ahead, Will.
So he occupied our parts, big parts of Ukraine, parts of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact
2015.
2014.
2014 and
2014.
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
that's exactly right.
Yes, but during 2014 till 2022.
This nigga Trump is hilarious because Trump, obviously, I can appreciate the myopic bubble in which Trump resides. Like, didn't shit happen in America when he wasn't fucking president? Like, he was like, oh, 2014? No, that shit ain't had shit to do with me, my nigga. Things still happen in the world in which America was an active participant in the coup. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I just have to laugh at Trump, like his utter disregard for the actions and policies of previous administrations. It's just interesting thing to behold. And this nigga don't know fucking history, even recent history, global history at that. He's not paying attention in class. Anyway, continue, Will.
Yeah, the situation the same. That people are been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him. Me, like a new president in 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel. We signed ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go We signed him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people, and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine? That you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Count once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring people, you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President.
This nigga JD said, I ain't have to be there. I'll watch the news, nigga. JD said, I know I only been there once. I know I didn't go to the front lines, but I see the stories coming out. Where are you still? What stories? What source are you consulting here? Let me say this real quick. I am not super up to date on the ins and the outs and the what have yous of the battle in Ukraine. I do not know what was negotiated between Zelensky, Merkel, and Putin. Don't know if Putin violated the things that Zelensky is saying that he did. And obviously JD Vance and Trump don't know either, because they didn't say a fucking thing to contradict what Zelensky had to say there. Instead, you heard JD Vance turn what? Belligerent. Do what? Start raising his voice and then start talking about, nigga, you being real disrespectful. You coming in here talking that bullshit. You had to resort to conscription. Conscription means they was just snatching Ukrainian men off the street and giving them the AK and telling them to go to the front line. It's not a cute situation in Ukraine at all. And Volodymyr Zelensky has been propped up. The Ukrainian state has been drastically propped up by arms and cash assistance from the United States and from other European Union countries. And but for that propping up, this war would have been over. Putin would have came and saw and conquered, and that would have been it. But I think that shit is about to get a little spicier here. So go ahead, Will. Resume.
Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean. And don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You
God bless. You will not have war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's exactly what you're doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
Feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's back to you. Far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once? This entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you? You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some.
Well, the JD Vance said, dog, you so disrespectful. Did you even say thank you, nigga? Did you even say thank you? Wait a minute. So hold on. No, to be clear, it's fuck Zelensky, period. Sister Jackie Lukman says Zelensky is a low-key Yahtzee or a hockey Yahtzee, regardless of his level of Yahtzeeism. If he is indeed the Yahtzee, fuck him. I don't give a fuck about him and the Yahtzees doing Yahtzee shit over there in Ukraine. However, this particular white on white violence exchange is beautiful because Zelensky let off with, well, Mr. President, lucky you have an ocean in between you and your problem, and it will be a problem for you later. And Trump didn't like that. Trump said, wait a minute. You don't come around here telling us what's going to be our problem. You don't worry about our problem. You worry about your own motherfucking problems because y'all shit is getting blasted back to the medieval times. Don't worry about our problems. But Zelensky, what I do have a tiny bit of respect for him about is that he is not allowing himself to be completely talked over, right? You hear Trump, you hear JD Vance raising their voice because we know that that is what petty, insecure men do when they really don't have shit to say. Instead of actually making facts and points, good ones, quality ones, instead they'll just talk louder. They'll just try to drown you out with sheer volume and not off the merit of their argument, of which really none of these jokers have an argument. And I like Trump telling Zelensky, however, because again, this is white on white violence. So who do we want to win? Everybody? Nobody. We want everyone to lose. That is correct. It's all winners in white on white violence because somebody's gonna lose here, and it doesn't really matter to me who it is. But anyway, back to this little quick discussion, and we're going to resume this in just a second. But thank you all so much for being here. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel and Spurn It Down with Kim Brown. Zelensky versus Trump versus JD Vance. When Trump tells Zelensky that he does not hold any cards, sir, you have a terrible hand. You only got 2-3 books in there. Trump said, I got the big joker and the little joker and the baby deuce. You know, you don't hold no cards, Vladi. I hold all the cards. And to be quite honest, he is correct. I don't know to what extent that NATO and the other not the NATO, but yeah, NATO too, the EU allies, to what extent they're willing to put up troops and armaments to the extent that the US has put up troops and not troops, but armaments for the Ukrainian fight against Russia. I don't know. But if Trump decides to pull the purse on Ukraine, this is going to be bing, boom, pow, very quick, unless the peace agreement gets reached. And I think this is where Trump is headed next. Let's go.
Some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war,
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country's in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No. You've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this.
No, nigga, I know.
You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
you haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet.
You haven't been alone.
In this cabinet.
We gave you, through this stupid president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military equipment, and you men are brave, but they had to use our military.
What about
if you didn't have our military equipment, if you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I tell you,
just say thank you.
I said a lot of times
to
American people.
Accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
It's really rich, JD Vance, to say we should litigate this away from the American media. Nigga, you started it. You started it. You came out and got loud with the president of Ukraine and then going to turn around. See, that's what you call throw a rock and hide your hand. Okay. That is what suckers do. That is what y'all bitch niggas do. 100%. That is a bitch nigga. That is a whole move to start the argument and be like, why are you arguing with me? Why you want to, why are we arguing? Nigga, because you started the fucking argument. That is why we are arguing. And Trump reminding Zelensky that, oh, well, first of all, fuck what Trump reminded Zelensky. Somebody needs to go check on Joe Biden, because I don't think Joe Biden, he might do harm to himself, because he has no bully pulpit to fight back against Trump still calling him stupid on at least a weekly basis, y'all. Trump shits on Joe Biden. Trump has been in office for 5 weeks and he has managed to shit on Joe Biden. I promise you, way more than simply 5 times in these 5 weeks. He has shit on Joe Biden every chance he got, in front of world leaders, in front of the national press, the international press. He doesn't give a fuck. And I gotta say, that part of the Trump presidency, I am kind of digging. It's hell, the rest of it. The rest of it is a fucking dumpster fire. When he remembers to call Joe Biden stupid and talk about how terrible Joe Biden was, I said, there goes Donnie. There goes the Donnie that we only somewhat snicker at 1% of the time, but he's never going to lose me talking shit about Joe Biden. He's going to lose me literally talking about everything else. But when he remembers to shit on Biden, I said, all right, I can get behind that. Go ahead, Will, resume. Let's go.
I think it's very important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards. You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're running low on soldiers. Listen, you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
With guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't with me.
For you
that wasn't with me. That was with a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person. That was with Obama.
It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
All righty. So anyway, that was the spectacle. That was the Real Housewives of Kyiv reunion. The reunion show, this time held on special location in the Oval Office in Washington, D.C. Yeah, you guys, we're going to take that for what it was. Okay. Again, it was a spectacle performed by personalities who have now been elevated to political power. And this is the situation that I guess us in the globe find ourselves in. You know, Trump and Zelensky are not the only, former personalities, as it were, that have found themselves in official positions where they have power and influence over policies, the shit that is happening. And for this to devolve in the White House this way was intentional for all of us to see. Maybe it was done for Putin's benefit. I guess Trump is chummy with Putin. It would appear that way. To the extent that he's a Russian asset, I wouldn't doubt it. It seems very plausible. Trump is a very problematic person with a lot of bad vices and habits. Clearly he's a womanizer. He's a sexual abuser. I'm certain that those Epstein files probably don't look all that flattering for him, considering that was his homeboy. And for Trump supporters, don't y'all ever ask yourselves, why is your man's running with child rapists? Like, why is your boy running with someone that fancies teenage girls, abuses teenage girls? Y'all don't like all you Matt Gaetz fans, like, y'all never asked yourself this question, like, why aren't you bothered by that? Or maybe you're a weirdo like them, freakazoid, I don't know, but address that, please. But regardless, the Trump administration, the Trump White House rather, later released a statement that read in part, that when President Zelensky is ready to have a serious conversation about peace, he can come back to the White House. It very much read as the principal sending home the letter with the student to the parent who just got suspended. Like, Matthew will be allowed to return to school after 3 days once Matthew is able to address and assess the reasons for his behavior. Like, it was giving all of parental and parochial and patronizing in this statement released by the White House about their meeting with Zelensky. So to the extent that peace is going to come to the Ukraine, I can't make such predictions, everybody. I did say long ago, though, if anybody could end the war in Ukraine, it would be Trump. Why? Because he and Putin are the same Bama. Like, Trump aspires to have the authoritative grip on the US in the same way that Putin has on Russia. And I don't make no qualms about that. Like, in the same way that the FBI or ICE or whoever the fuck, whatever alphabet boy agency you want to think of, can literally come to your house and probably disappear you to wherever, to a CIA black site or to fucking Guantanamo, or just hold you, detain you without charges, without notifying anybody that they have you. They do the same shit in Russia. Okay. Like, yes, the motherfucking FSB will come to your fucking house and whisk you away in the same ways in which journalists have come under increased scrutiny, doxing, outright attack, especially at the height of the George Floyd and Breonna Taylor protests during 2020, where journalists were literally being targeted with rubber bullets and tear gas and with all-out violence by police. Same shit happens in Russia, right? So Trump and Putin are besties. Trump wants to emulate the long-term grip that Putin has on Russia, even to the extent that I saw at CPAC there was a contingent going around that are calling themselves like the Third Term Consortium or some shit, that are trying to at least start the conversation to try to drum up support to amend the Constitution in some way to allow Trump to sit in the Oval Office for a third term, right? This is he has Putin aspirations. There's no mistake about that. So if anybody has leverage, or at least an influence, or at least perhaps even has Putin's ear or even in his good graces, it would be Trump to finish the war in Ukraine. And as soon as a peace gets negotiated, Volodymyr should leave town. Volodymyr, I wouldn't kick it in Ukraine after the war is over if I was President Zelensky, because he's gonna get it's gonna be curtains, because that's how Vladdy Dottie get down. He don't really like to let his enemies linger and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, he takes niggas out. Make no mistake about that. Journalists get disappeared in Russia a lot. Putin's political enemies also get disappeared in Russia. And I think that he has been gunning for Volodymyr specifically for some time now. So Volodymyr is basically arguing with JD Vance and Trump for his life, for spectacle, for clicks, for likes and shits and giggles in addition. But he's literally trying to argue for his life, because he knows that should a peace come, it's going to come at Ukrainian expense, either in the form of territory or additional Ukrainian lives, or maybe at the expense of his own life. So we're going to keep following the fuckery, everybody, but do what you can to let it not wholesale consume you. Please don't try to get depressed. In fact, I hope you become empowered. I hope you start to figure out ways in which you can become self-sufficient, you and yours, your household, your immediate family, your community. Now is the time to get serious and figure out survival, figure out community building, and just do the things that we can in small steps, but understand that we may have to pick up the pace because the schmatzyism, the authoritarianism, that is the Musk Trump administration, is moving with all deliberate speed, and in this instance, it's actually moving with impressive speed. Dare I say, these motherfuckers only been in power for 5 weeks, and they have thrown a lot of shit into chaos. Which means our time for preparation is short. It's small, as my uncle used to say, my Uncle Munchie. Our window of opportunity is closing. Okay, so we still got the window of opportunity still open, but that shit is closing, everybody. So start to get your shit together in whatever form that means. Get your documents together, getting your passports together, getting dry goods, consumable, long-term storage, and the clean water, the life straws, whatever the fuck that looks like for you. I hope you doing it, because I'm doing it. Okay, I'm preparing to bug in and bug the fuck out. You hear me? Because this is wild time. So anyway, I appreciate you guys stopping by and joining. If you want to support the channel with some material support, we appreciate it. Thanks you to Zinzi Bell. Will, who else ran us some money? I'm sorry. Stephanie, Will, and Zinzi Bell and Stephanie, thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much to Sweary Ferry. We appreciate the super chat support. If you want to run other support other ways, we're at Cash App, $BIDWKB, Venmo at BIDWKB, PayPal.me/BIDWKB, and of course, Patreon.com/BIDWKB. All right. I want you guys to watch Saturdays with Renee tomorrow morning, 11 a.m. on Black Liberation Media. Please do that. Thanks to everyone that watches the Remix Morning Show on Black Liberation Media. Please subscribe and follow shit there as well. Will, is there anything else? Did you still got your joining? Hey, y'all, it's February 28th. Did y'all participate in the economic blackout? I did, but not voluntarily. I participated in the economic blackout involuntarily. You know what I'm saying? So I still showed up. You know what I'm saying? But I didn't have a choice.
Today is the last day. If you would like to support a small black business,
Hey.
I could put it in the chat.
Yep. Dropped it.
So y'all can contribute to the campaign. Like I said, today is the last day. Thank y'all so much. I already shot one interview.
Okay.
And, projects and stuff is coming soon. I'll keep y'all posted.
Boom bap. What's the channel?
Wealthland Cinema, my channel.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Please go subscribe.
Put the
subscribe to
subscribe, y'all. I need some subscribers. Please subscribe.
Yes, go subscribe. Thank you so much to everybody that stopped by, hung out, argued, fussed with some trolls, maybe bopped some trolls on the head. We appreciate it. And trolls, again, thanks. Y'all drive engagement. Appreciate it, pimp. Nothing y'all can say or do that can, move who, and that is me, nigga. She is I, and I is Kim. Slim with the tilted brim. What's your motherfucking name? Snoop Doggy. Snoop's a coon now. I can't even celebrate and enjoy Snoop's music now. God damn it. All right. Niggas ruin everything. Motherfuckers be fucking up every fucking thing. God damn it. Anyway, y'all be safe out here in these streets, please, and thank you. And I will see y'all back here on Tuesday for Burning Down with Kim Brown. Appreciate you, gang. Please take care. Be safe. Thank you so much to Will and Molly. See y'all later. Bye-bye. Deuces.